Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And today we're talking about Wagner's Die Walküre. Yeah, the most popular of all of the ring operas of the four, and the one that's gotten the most attention on disc, historically speaking, to the point where there are occasional singleton recordings of Die Walküre, and the one we're talking about is this one. It's Birgit Nilsson, John Vickers, George London, and Gorr Brouwenstijn. Those are your major folks, and David Ward is Hunding, with the London Symphony Orchestra under Erich Leinsdorf on Decca. Now, this recording has a very interesting history because, as you know, at the same time that this was being recorded, which was in 1962, John Coleshaw was working with Decca on the complete ring with Schulte. And at the time, you see, this is where the timing is kind of interesting. They did Das Rheingold in 1958, and it was tremendously successful. And so the decision to record the complete ring was given the green light. But the next one that they did, also in 1962, was Siegfried. So they did Siegfried with Birgit Nilsson, but there was no imminent recording of Die Walküre. Next came Götterdämmerung in 1964, and then finally Die Walküre in 1965. In the meantime, it was 1962, and there was Birgit Nilsson chomping at the bit to record one of her great roles, Brunhilde. I mean, she was the greatest Brunhilde probably ever. So she wanted to do Brunhilde. But the Schulte ring wasn't coming until later, her Walküre Brunhilde. And Leinsdorf was here with the London Symphony, sounding terrific, by the way. Leinsdorf was a wonderful Wagner conductor. Let's be clear. He was absolutely terrific. He was a very good theatrical conductor. And people forget that he had already done worked with Birgit Nilsson in Turandot just a few years previously with Jussi Björling. So Leinsdorf and Birgit Nilsson knew each other, and it's not just that Birgit Nilsson was the only thing going. I mean, the reason they did this whole thing, but she was one of them for sure. I mean, George London was very, very well known and in very good voice in 1962. And so you had Rita Gorr as Fricka. You've got some famous Valkyrie babes running around. You've got Mary Collier and Margarita Elkins and Josephine Vesey. She's Ross Weisse. So yeah, I mean, it's a very, very, very good cast, a wonderful cast, probably the best Valkyrie cast actually that has yet been assembled on disc. It's really, really first class, and the whole performance is exciting and fresh and passionate and intense. It's really better than Schulte's, because by the time Schulte got along, I mean, yes, these people were in good voice, but Hans Hodder was, getting to the end of his career, and Nilsson was a few years older. She was still wonderful. I mean, she was wonderful for the next couple of decades or decade and a half or so. But still, you found these people absolutely at the top of their game. And so they recorded a Walküre. And the thing that fascinates me about this one is that it always gets short shrift in commentary about the discography. I mean, I first heard this. I heard this before the Schulte. And I put on the Schulte when I finally was collecting the ring, and I got to that one. And it was like, oh boy, Leinsdorf's better. Yeah, oh boy. And it is. It is. Is it better in like absolute cosmic terms? No, it's better. It's just, generally speaking, a bit more exciting and with better singing, and I think a little bit better sonics. Pace, Mr. Coleshaw. So it's a first-class Walküre by any stretch of the imagination. But the cool thing about it is that you would think that the British press would be like foaming and drooling because, first of all, you've got Vickers and Nilsson and this amazing cast, and you've got the London Symphony as opposed to the Vienna Philharmonic. But to promote this, which I think originally came out on RCA in the U.S., actually. I don't know. I don't remember because I wasn't there. I was 2 years old. But what fascinates me is that the Decca machine in the UK was so behind the Schulte that there was not room in the universe for two recordings of Walküre. So as a result, the Schulte got all the push. especially in the context of the complete ring. Of course, it was part of the complete ring. And this one, it's as if it never existed. And I remember the first time I even read about it. When I was looking at reviews, I wanted to get a Walküre, and this was when I was like in college, okay? So it was like in the 70s. And I remember reading a review somewhere where it said, well, there's the Schulte Walküre, but of course, it's not as good for Nilsson and, you know, everybody as the Leinsdorf of several years earlier. And I was like, Leinsdorf? What are they talking about, Leinsdorf? So I went running into to Record Masters at the Rotunda in Baltimore, and they said, yeah, here it is. There is this earlier one. I said, how is it? And my friend there, who was he was an opera maven, huge opera guy. He said, actually, it's better than the Schulte. Trust me, it really is. It's wonderful. So nobody knows about it. It's been, you know, the word has been damped down by the Decca promotion machine for all these decades or all these years. So I snagged it, and it was marvelous, and I loved it. And then I got the Schulte. It was very good, too, because you want to have it in the context of the complete ring. You want the whole thing, right? So we were spoiled for choice when it came to recordings of Walküre. But this particular series of videos is about the greatest recordings ever. And so if you have to pick one, I mean, you want to hear John Vickers going, Vals, you know, whacking the sword thing. And I mean, you got to hear it. You just got to hear it. It's really fabulous. Of course, then came, you know, the whole Carl Böhm ring, which also had Birgit Nilsson with Leni Rieseneck as Sieglinde. I mean, there were all kinds of, you know, the rings started multiplying. And as the rings began multiplying, there was less and less room for singleton performances like this one in people's imaginations, in people's discographies. You know, you had to get a complete ring. What was the point? You're just getting one opera from the ring. You know, well, I have no problem with one opera from the ring, especially when it's as good as this one. Give it a listen and see what you think. It is first class, absolutely first class. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.